Hey everyone, this is Steve Weintraub with Collider. We are here at Comic-Con, and I'm thrilled to be interviewing the folks behind Lower Decks. Lower Decks.
Lower Decks. Lower Decks. Lower Decks.
It's really easy to get us to chant.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, I am a huge fan of your show series, and I'm really bummed that it's ending, but I'm also grateful that you guys got to make 5 seasons, because it's like winning a lottery to make any show.
Yeah.
So everyone watching this knows the show, because by now, and I hate asking the generic question, but fuck it. What can you tease about season 5?
What can we tease? We've got some amazing Orion episodes.
Yes.
That Noelle as Tendi goes back to Orion for a little while, and you learn a lot more about Orion culture. You've got some amazing...
What do I do?
You do a lot of growing. You actually did a lot of growing last season,
Growth.
and you grapple with it this
Growth
year.
and grappling.
And then Ransom is actually both equal parts dumbass and beloved commander.
Nice.
So,
Hey, man, nice.
As he's always has been, but maybe more than ever before. And
Hell yeah.
you know, we knew this was going to be our last season pretty early. So it does, instead of going out on feeling final, it feels more like a fireworks show when they blast everything off at the very end. So it's like a huge celebration with everything I'd been planning on doing kind of put into one big party all season.
I'm so happy that you knew going in, it sounds like, that this was going to be the end. How much did that allow for like exponential character growth and ending with, like leading everyone towards where they're ultimately going to go for the future?
We did not jump them ahead of where they are in the story. Instead, it feels like a end of a chapter. It feels like we're in chapter 1 of the story of Lower Decks. So it still feels like Lower Decks. It's still funny. It's exciting. It feels like it fits into canon, but it does feel like we've said something by the end of it. So you could take the first 5 seasons and be like, this is a full idea, but it does not feel final, which I think is the best way for a comedy to be.
Yeah.
Wow, that was so well put, Mike.
Hey, thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Such a smart guy, our boss. He really worded that perfectly.
Lower Decks, Lower
It's like
Decks.
when you make
Lower
a
Decks,
cheesecake and then you put it in the fridge to chill. It's like
Yeah.
it firms, but it's not solid. It's not, you
Yeah.
can still puncture it.
You can still puncture us.
You can still puncture us.
It's funny, being a performer on it, I felt very satisfied with this season. I felt Mike did a great job. And
How much does it cost for him to say that?
Too much.
It doesn't at all, really. To quote Tawny, if I didn't have a good time, I would just be quiet.
That's true.
It's really funny, as I'm very proud as a performer. I'm very proud as an employee, but also I'm really proud of my Lower Deckers. I'm really proud of them.
Yeah, I'm proud too.
I am curious, without spoilers, you guys, have you recorded all of season 5? You're done.
Yeah.
So my question is, what was it like reading that last script and seeing ultimately where it was all going to be going?
I refused at first. I said, if I don't end it, it won't end, and we can just live here forever. And then they tackled me in my home and asked me to come down to the studio and do it. So eventually we did it. But it was bittersweet, but
It's
lovely.
funny, you joke, but like we did keep adding and adding and adding to the finale because nothing was ever satisfying enough, and there weren't enough goodbyes to tell in a funny way. And ultimately what we ended up with is a gigantic episode that's really fun. So.
Yeah.
Is it longer than a typical episode?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I think a lot of the season actually it's a big season.
It's a double stuffed Oreo of an episode for sure.
It was really interesting working on the finale of a series and watching Mike's process, because you could you did a version, you honed it, you did a version, you honed it, and it's funny, by the time that I did my last recording, you really you did a great job, Mike.
Hey, thank you,
Yeah,
guys.
I feel like when I first recorded the episode, we didn't know it was.
I was going to ask actually.
Yeah, we didn't know that it was the final episode, but then when we had to make some changes, and then when that was the part that
I know we're
started
reading it
getting
going
more-
like, well, this sure sounds like the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we had to make changes to some things just to address that.
It was we comedies that end, comedies that have like a final episode, that's usually not anybody's favorite episode, right? And on a series level, and on this, we may have broken that. Like this might be somebody's favorite episode. A lot of people's.
Yeah.
So,
That'd be cool.
if I can ask, a lot of the episodes, I'm guessing, I'm using my memory, they're like 25 to 32, 25 to 30 minutes. I could be wrong about that number.
Yeah, like 22. They want them at 22, but because we're on Paramount Plus, we can rob from some episodes and add to the others and be a little more flexible.
So my question is, like, do you know the running time of the last episode? Is it like 35?
We're still working on it. The last I saw, my editor and line producer would kill me, but the last I saw right now, we were hovering
7 hours.
around.
I wish.
Yeah, it's like the Decalogue. No, it's that was for you. Right now, we're like 8 minutes longer than an episode usually is, which is like an entire other act, basically.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
gargantuan
really
in a half
big,
hour.
and we're not done with it. So I don't know. We'll see.
I have so many follow-ups to that. So was it hard coming up with the last shot, the last thing?
No, that was the easiest part.
No, wait, but first you didn't have.
The last shot, the very last shot.
Oh, okay, I'm talking about the last scene. At first you didn't have that. Remember, I was like,
No, I
I
know.
can't believe we're not
I
doing
know.
blah, blah, blah.
I
Doing et cetera, and then
we,
you did
we
it.
added a couple things at the very end, and oh man,
Oh,
I think
no.
gosh,
The
our
Strange New
fans are
World.
super fan.
What's funny is we can't
God.
we can't
Get outta
see you.
here.
You're in the light.
We have
Get outta
super.
here.
We have the
So-
Strange New Worlds gang are banging on
Live
the window.
action
behind
weirdos.
Akiva
us.
Goldsman banging on the window like one of his monsters in I Am Legend. Just
I hope he did that at the Oscars.
I like, by the way, they can't figure out how to come outside.
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
Please don't crash.
Well, if it isn't.
Come on. Come on.
We're doing publicity.
Guys?
We're a bunch of professionals.
Square up.
We're actual people.
Idiot
Crossover.
decks.
Right, exactly.
Lower decks. Strange new worlds. Strange
Actually,
new worlds.
You guys,
Get in here.
please, no, Akiva,
Don't
Akiva,
half crash.
This
Akiva,
is-
please join.
Spock,
Henry.
Ethan Peck.
Yeah, come on in.
What up, man?
Their boss.
Oh, we're
Actually live.
we're filming right now.
We're filming.
We're filming right now.
I'm trying to help her.
Yeah. So
Ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, live action show.
I'm making sure the cameras can go, but like hopefully we're good. I don't know if we can, but whatever. So here's the thing. Hopefully one of these cameras is. Are we good? Perfect. So I loved the crossover episode. So let's talk a little bit about that because I don't know if you guys have ever done an interview together. Talk a little bit about like.
No, we haven't.
Yeah.
We barely got to talk about it because of the strike. It was like we wanted to talk
Yeah.
about it from the mountaintops and we couldn't.
We couldn't.
That's right.
We just talked to each other.
Yeah,
about
so-
it.
Talk to each other
We're
about
like,
it.
pretty cool, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mike and I were on the phone a lot.
Yeah, I really want to know because fans loved the episode. I mean, I loved the episode. So let's talk a little bit about like the planning stages. Was it difficult to do? What was it like for the cat? Like, let's get into it.
These are very good questions.
Get into
I mean,
it. You didn't know what you signed up for when you
we
tried to
didn't know what we
crash.
signed up for. We wanted to do something that was emerging. I mean, it's a crossover episode is a classic Star Trek element, and we really wanted to do that. And we love their show so much, we thought this would be one that no one would expect, and no one would. And we knew it was also a challenge because we had to animate a huge section of it, and then we knew we were going to have to work with all of the folks that we could bring over into our world. And we really wanted, I mean, honestly, we wanted to get everyone in it. We had time for two of them to do live action, but we really wished we could have found a way to absolutely have everyone
And
there.
here's the thing that nobody will tell you. It was really hard.
Yeah.
Like fundamentally, it seemed like, well, they'll just come over. But it turns out that they're animated and we're real. And we have different tones in our shows.
Yeah.
So the integration of their tone and our tone was a full-on job.
But you know what? Everything I heard from both casts was, this is the most fun we've had. It's better. It was a synergistic effect. That it was hard, but it was like getting to have the most fun doing both shows at once that we couldn't have gotten separately, which I thought
Gave
was
them
really
real
cool.
costumes. They like that.
No, we have them record in costume. Yeah.
And we got paid more, so that was fun.
Hey,
You got paid
Okay,
more?
that was the secret. That part was
To
quiet.
what Akiva was saying, it was really fun watching Jack and Tawny make these like minute adjustments to fix tonally what was the divide between animation and real. It was
Yeah.
really fun watching you guys.
Thank you. All props also go to Jonathan Frakes for helping
Yeah.
guide that so expertly.
Yeah, he
like,
massaged that a lot.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah. I don't mind being told to tone it down when it's Jonathan Frakes telling me to do that. Most people, I'm like,
Did he ever tell you to?
disagree? No. He did say go harder. At one point, he said, please say the script. So he said the writers would really like for you to say the words on the
yeah,
page.
I gotta say there were a bunch of ones that were like, we're gonna use this one. We're gonna dig because it was fun. It was funny. I mean, there were things that we didn't expect. The way that Boimler walked, you know, when Jack did that, we were like, well, we have to use that shot because he's actually doing the walk, which he's never gotten to do in real life before. So I think it excited him.
I've seen him do it.
Yeah, it's
That's just how he walks.
Yeah.
I think the thing about that crossover episode is just it's so nice when everyone loves something, and rather than tearing things down online, it's all like, oh, that's great. So I'm gonna sort of do questions for both here, but like with Strange New Worlds, with the upcoming season, what can you guys tease in terms of? You did a musical episode, which was phenomenal, and you did this crossover episode. What can you tease about the upcoming season?
Well, Vulcans. We're doing Vulcans because we're showing it at the panel.
Okay.
You can say
I'm
Vulcan.
so scared.
In addition to seeing a lot of people become Vulcans who you wouldn't expect, we get to see other people on the ship behave in ways, some of them who might actually be present today, behave in ways that you've never seen them do before.
And that's mostly Jerry, which is
That's all.
Well, I saw, and this is not going to air until after the panel, but I saw the 5-minute clip of the cast getting turned into Vulcans and not being able to get back. And it was fantastic. And what's interesting for the cast, and Anthony's not here, and some of the other cast members, is that you are having to act like a Vulcan, and you're not used to doing something like that. And so I'm curious, what was it like for you having your fellow castmates acting as Vulcans? Are they talking to you about how should I do this? And as a character on the show, they're calling you out. There's some great dialogue that people are going to see.
Yeah, well, I didn't appreciate being the half Vulcan. And,
He's half human.
and being ostracized and criticized for that. But they did seek my advice a little bit, the actors. I spoke probably most thoroughly to Celia, who plays Uhura. And it was really fun to see everyone turn into Vulcans. It was kind of shocking, too. And funnily enough, made me feel like I belonged more to see more pointed ears. But then, of course, they were very offensive.
Yeah.
Weirdly, the hardest part wasn't the performance. Performance came very easily to them. It was the hair. The hair was the hardest part. Trying to figure out the right hair.
Just with the harsh bangs across the
Bangs.
Harsh
Vulcan hair,
harsh
but
emo
also
bangs.
to give each of them their own specific feel and look. Because yes, they are
Sure.
Vulcans, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean they all act the same.
Right,
They
right,
each
right.
have to have their own level.
Vulcans
of
are not
thing
a
that they're
monolith.
interested in. So that was the
They all had their own brand of Vulcan that was pretty surprising. Fun to play off of.
Can I ask, and I don't know if you can tell me, but where is that in the season? Is it like episode 1 or further in?
it's episode 8.
Is it really?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is actually for everyone. Everyone knows, obviously, it costs money to do anything. How much, when it comes to, for both Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds, how
Does each
much?
show cost? We're happy to tell you.
Well, maybe we don't want to really get into
We're happy to
that.
tell you the
No,
budget,
you know
right?
what?
We'll tell you what Strange New Worlds
15.
cost.
Okay.
No, but
$15
I
to $20.
Right, but
sure.
I am curious. Like
Possibly
you,
more.
listen, when you're in the writers' room, you're coming up with pie in the sky ideas, and then it's about, how do we get this on the page? How do we get this to be filmed? With animation, are there certain things in animation that are more expensive than others? Yeah. And how much does that dictate how much we can do in an episode? And with Strange New Worlds, you obviously have a budget for the season. Can you sort of talk about where and when you want to deploy the big resources in an episode, and how much does that impact like 2 other episodes when you go big in episode 6, hypothetically?
Let Mike answer.
Mine is easy because red costs a lot more. If you use red on screen,
What?
it costs twice as much.
Seriously?
The ink is just really expensive, you
Yeah,
guys.
it's expensive. The pens cost. The pens
Bless your hearts. I love you guys so much. No, for us, it's just how many voices do we have in the episode? How many minutes do we have? Every minute is just compounding for us, and every voice, we only have a certain amount of people we can have on the show. So we use every penny.
Damn, Akiva's,
a lot of red.
Akiva's over it.
But the great thing about animation is that you can invent anything and
Yes.
go anywhere, and there is no cap on what your imagination can basically.
Yeah, we can put a lot more aliens, and we're not paying for prosthetics, and we can do a lot more ships. We're not building new sets. We're drawing all that stuff. But thank you. No more questions. No more questions.
We did spend a bit of time beforehand talking about what were the existing sets from Lower Decks that we could use, because those, I remember having a long conversation with you about what angles on the ship already exist. Which ones can we use? If they go in this direction, like, can we see this? Can we see that? And then there was a whole thing where we had to, the set that we built on the AR wall, which existed both digitally, practically, and also in an animated style, was probably the most interesting one, because these are divisions that probably never have to work together, and we had to get them all in line. So that was challenging. We spent a lot of time beforehand trying to decide where the money's going to go big and where the money's going to go small, and it's more like we're going to spend a lot on this episode for TBD reason. Like, we have a creature effect that's really expensive. We have a visual effect that is going to cost a lot of money because we're going to be out in space for a while. That's one thing. If we are going to take that away, we have to give something else, like maybe turn a lot of people into Vulcans.
This is crazy too. Also, Ethan's body makeup is like
It's a line item.
And the CG that we have to do afterwards.
I've seen the cost, and it's
doesn't look like-
astronomical.
That was all set up for his the original deal that he made on the show, and we're not actually allowed to change
Yeah.
it. Or talk
Yeah,
about it.
we're doing it in real time right
yeah.
now, which is really pricey.
You look
for it
great.
to
Yeah.
look
You
like
wouldn't
that.
believe
Great.
it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe the effects that this has.
Yeah.
I have a question for the two of you, and because it's a live action question about Star Trek. When you think about the episodes you've done thus far in Strange New Worlds, what scene or sequence do you consider the toughest one thus far to have pulled off? Whether it be because you're doing a oneer, whether it be a musical, whether it be, you know what I mean? Like, what's that scene or sequence?
What was it for you?
I would say that personally, I think the most work I put into was a scene that you and I had in the third season, and I think it's a sequence of scenes
Yeah,
that we got to do together.
I remember.
Yeah.
Mine might have
exactly.
been
You guys are being you guys are being so shady.
In episode 8.
episode 8.
Yeah.
Mine might have been the sequence in which Spock has sort of an anxiety dream and he fights himself.
Oh yeah.
And I had
so
to play
beautiful.
both sides of the fight, obviously, and
So
so
well
that was
done.
pretty complicated.
Yeah.
For me, I'd have
Yeah,
to say
no, let's not.
the toughest is being the sound person here at Collider, who's the boom. My arm is like shaking at this point.
Yeah. Really good job. Akiva, what's been the hardest for you to watch?
Pretty much this.
Ditto. I'm glad we totally planned this out.
Yeah. By the way, it's a little challenging when you have live action and animation paired together. But
As
so
you can see.
We're colliding.
it's almost like he's a writer. This is a question for everybody. You can read something on the page and you could be like, oh, this is really good. Sometimes it turns out better than you expected, and sometimes not so much. For all of you guys, what is an episode that you are just so happy the way it turned out, in terms of like it was just better than you imagined, and it's just one of your favorite episodes of Star Trek?
I'm going to start off. The crossover episode that we all did, I don't recall in recent memory anyone else doing that. And the tone was perfect. They really pulled it off. I got to say, I was extremely doubtful when it was announced. And
Thanks, Jerry.
Yeah, that's cool, Jerry.
When they pitched it, I couldn't understand how they could possibly make it work. And it totally worked.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the crossover episode as well.
I want to shoot some love your way, Rebecca. The trial episode.
Oh.
I don't remember the title. I'm
Ad
sorry.
Astra Perspirigus.
Oh, of course. Ed Asner Perspiragus.
Ad Astra Perspirigus.
And,
That's how you remembered
I
it.
do. That's how I remember it. No, but when that episode came on, because I don't think I read it ahead of time or anything. I think I just heard they're doing a trial episode, and as a lifelong Trek fan, we've seen a lot of trial episodes, and so I was like, sure, this will be good and fine and whatever. And I was really blown away because of the portrayal that you brought to it. Also, just it's really hard to do trial episodes in Star Trek that still feel like there's something new to say or to discuss in that way. And I thought you guys really nailed it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, really beautiful.
Thank you for it was a beautifully written episode.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I think to some extent, every single episode goes through this process of, I like this, oh no, it's a disaster, wait, an army of talented, amazing, passionate artists are making it better and better and better. And for me, once you get music into an episode, it's like such a relief, because that's where like the heart comes from, and like after you've edited it and you've lived with all these lines. So like, I can't think of a single episode that you don't go through waves of like joy and panic, and then ultimately are just so relieved that it's good and that you're telling a story and making people laugh and being in space together. I don't know. It's great. Star Trek's great.
I agree.
In summation.
So I got good news and bad news. The good news is Strange New Worlds, you're going to stay with me, but Lower Decks,
We
you
have
need
to
to
go
leave
away.
and do another interview.
They should stay
Yeah.
because we took their time.
No.
No, they were here
no.
already.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah, no.
We have time
yeah.
for you.
No, we're done. We're more than done. Thank you so much.
Oh, we're still filming. We're not stopping.
Okay.
Oh, like Strange New Worlds,
Goodbye.
you're still here.
Thank you.
But listen.
Who wants
thank-
my microphone? I don't have COVID.
Listen, thank you for coming in. For real. Thank you. Listen, your show is one of my favorite things that I watch. I love your show so much, and I'm so excited for season 3. And the thing a lot of people don't realize is you're originally going to film season 3, and then strike happens. So how did the scripts for season 3 possibly change because of the extra time, or were they just locked and it was a question of as soon as we get to film, that's what we're doing?
It's not quite as simple as it sounds because we were down. So we didn't actually have a lot of time. We had the time we had, then we stopped. Everything ground to a halt. And then we picked up again 6 weeks out of production. So really what was problematic, or at least was unique, is the machine is typically really running 6 weeks out. Like when you're just 6 weeks out, everybody's getting there. And now we were starting all over again in terms of momentum 6 weeks out. So it was a energetically complicated, creatively annoying, but fundamentally we made the episodes we planned to make.
One of the things of season 2 is you really did it. The musical episode, the crossover, like you were very ambitious. How ambitious is season 3 in compared to season 1 and 2?
Surprisingly ambitious. We didn't know how they were going to push the envelope, and they did. We're really proud of some things in season 3.
It is amazing what you can do if you get Polaroids of your cast. And then offer not to put them on the internet. They will do things that are extraordinary. No.
Things you won't believe.
Won't believe.
You will
no,
not believe.
Yeah.
What can you tease without spoiling about season 3?
The RoboCop episode.
Well, the Star Wars crossover.
yeah.
The all nude episode.
I love that one.
Yeah.
That one, but CBS, the
By the way,
Kaiba's
this
one.
The Godzilla episode.
Yeah, the Godzilla episode's
When we
gonna be
fight
great.
The
Godzilla.
Godzilla episode is good.
Okay, let's get real. So, season 3
we are
episode,
real.
yeah.
100%
I felt
I want to make sure we're in frame. Actually, come a little
fighting
closer.
Henry.
So, season 3, episode 1. Is there a big time jump, or from the last episode of season?
No time jump at all.
So
it's
just-
like almost an instantaneous pickup.
Okay.
Mid-battle.
Yeah.
We'll be back. We're back.
Yep.
Well done.
Thank you.
Jonathan Frakes has said
Oh,
that there's
jeez.
what?
I mean, it's just, Jonathan, you can't.
Yeah, he talks.
I know.
So he said
We
that
beg
something
him
that he
not.
directed something in season 3 that he considers his favorite thing that he's directed. What? I don't know if he's directed more than one episode or is it just one. What did you
He
direct?
directed one this season and one last season.
Right. So can you say what episode number he directed?
Episode 4.
And when he said that out loud and said when he announced that it was the favorite thing he's ever directed, were you like, yeah, he's probably right?
That it was his favorite thing he
No,
ever
no,
directed.
you know what I mean? Like, because there must be something to this episode where
That is a spectacular episode. I'm delighted with it.
It
It's
was
really,
a
really,
really
fun.
special experience. And he and I, when he wrapped that episode, he and I were on the same flight going home that weekend. So we were at the airport, which was delayed by a couple, 2-3 hours. So
Air
I got
Canada?
Air Canada. I got to listen to him talk about for 3 hours how it was his favorite hour of television that he's ever directed.
What can you tease? Is there something like what can you tease about this that I can?
It is a very unique version of Kirk, one that we have not seen on the show before, and all of our actors get to do things that we've never seen them do.
It's a Hollywood murder mystery. I think he said that. And if he hasn't, let us say it officially now.
We can say it.
We are, as always, striving to create a different genre within ours, so there's a reason for it. It's not somebody having a dream.
Yep.
Although we did once in the room have a thing about a dream and many unas. I got to
did.
tell you about that one.
Okay.
And
That was the Godzilla episode.
that was, yeah. No. And because of that, our actors get to do things that they haven't gotten to do previously. And so, as you've been asking, and as Rebecca was saying, we do keep trying to push,
Sure.
because we were so delighted ourselves with the musical episode that we kind of were like, oh, fuck. Can I say that
it
on
is a
television?
genuine Star Trek
What are we gonna do
episode.
now?
Like, no one who knows and is familiar with Star Trek will say, oh, that doesn't feel like a normal episode. They will be like, oh, I get it. Yep. But it will surprise them.
What is it like for the two of you? How quickly, this is an acting thing. I've met a lot of actors that like sort of stay in character or stay with certain things during a shoot, and others who can just like shut it off at the end of the day and turn it back on when they get in set the next morning. How quickly for both of you during the shoot are you able to like let go and then turn it back on in the morning? And how much is a piece staying with you the entire time?
I'm able to let it go really quickly because I have kids.
Sure.
Who are there with me sometimes, and I got to get home and make sure they're okay and make sure they're fed, and you got to be able to turn it off and on. So, but I think it's different for Ethan.
Yeah, well, I spend probably more hours as this character than I do as Ethan during the season. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't altered a little bit. And I do take a little bit of it home with me, which isn't so bad because he's a great guy, man of integrity, a person of integrity, I should say, a half man of integrity, and he's very aspirational and wants to be something kind of pure, and I think that's beautiful. So I'll take that home.
How much do you, and this is just a stupid fun question, but like, how much do you want to leave set wearing the uniforms? Just go to Starbucks. You know
All
what
the
I mean?
time.
Like,
Love to.
Yeah. I remember one time Melissa Navia's family, her sister and brother-in-law, and I think their kids came to visit us, and it was also during COVID, so we weren't really allowed to see anybody, but we all stepped outside on the street to go take a picture with them. And we were just like walking down the street in Mississauga,
Yeah.
all in our uniforms. We're like, this is weird. It was awesome though.
Yeah.
It would
I
be-
would love to just
I would
go on a
love to do
field
that,
trip.
yeah.
Yeah, Starfleet field trip.
yeah, I personally think some viral stuff when you're filming season 4 is just all of you guys going to like the local supermarket in costume and just like acting like you're on an away mission. This is really stupid, but like
was a
acting
great
like you're on
pitch.
a
Yeah.
away mission, just going in and like not acknowledging anybody, just,
Yeah.
and let them film it. You know what I mean?
The problem is they wouldn't have money then. That they wouldn't know how.
Right.
They would not have money.
Right.
Sure,
No
but you know what I mean? Like
pockets.
with currency, but just in full costume. Just me being stupid.
Do we own the idea? I'm just checking. Do we? I
You
think
can
we
have
do.
it for free.
Okay, we have that. Can you?
Thanks.
Right.
Right.
That's very
Sign
kind of
the-
you. Thank you.
sign
I'm
the
going to
thing.
make you sign 5
So,
things.
when do you actually start filming season 4? Have you announced it?
We start next year.
So, what is it like already, knowing that season 4 is coming up? What is it like already are you writing on season 4 already?
We're in the room. We're breaking. We have the cards with the episodes. We know what they are. We know what the 10 episodes are going to be about. The network doesn't yet, but they will soon.
Sure.
We're excited for them to find out.
Yes.
What is it like when you're in that blue sky in the writer's room when like anything is possible? And this goes back to what I said earlier about budget. I say the budget for the show is $5 for the season, since I'll never know the real number and you'll never share.
It is in
$5,
fact
pretty close.
$5.
Right.
That is
So
amazing.
my question though, for real, is do you want in the writing, do you think about like we want episode 8 to be, we want to go fucking big with one of these. So how do we save on these other 3 or 2?
That is the conversation we have. But we don't look at it that way. We don't want every giant budgeted episode to be like back to back. We want to separate them because it takes some recovery time. And also there are other things we can do in the meantime that also require like a different kind of work. If there's one that is a romantic episode, we'll have that in one place, and then we'll have a comedy, and then we'll have like a horror movie or like a big space battle. I mean, we'll try to separate these with some space so that we're not doing everything hard all together.
And within reason, we start with all the kids being equal. So we don't actually build with the idea of size as an organizing principle. We build with each episode gets, because remember, our show is a little different in that we rotate characters. We're an ensemble piece, but our lensing changes. Most typically you hear it in the captain's log or the first officer's log, or, so who's walking you through the show, right? So fundamentally, in that way, just as we try to keep all the actors getting a shot, all the episodes get the same shot. And then as we lay them out creatively, some sort of go, oh, I could be big or small. Oh, I could only be big. Oh, I really need to be small. And then we sort of move it around like that. But our show is pretty, again, within reason, evenly distributed. There's not a terrible swing between our most expensive episode and our least. They're all right in the same strike zone.
At the beginning in season 3, when you're in the writer's room and you're figuring out the arcs, are you coming up with like where Spock is in episode 1 and Spock is in episode 10?
Yes.
And for both of you, what can you tease about your character's journey in season 3 from where it starts to where it goes?
Well, I would say that Una, you get to see a lighter side of Una now that she no longer is hiding behind, her shame of the Illyrian side of her character. So you're gonna see a lighter side of Una.
At the beginning of season 3, Spock is alive, and then
Remember, we talked about not talking about that.
he's still alive at the end.
Okay, spoiler alert.
All right, this will be my last question, because otherwise the publicists are going to kill me. Where are you thinking in terms of, we have a 5-year plan, we have a 7-year plan. How much are you thinking about that? And how much is it sort of like, because of the freedom of this show, being able to do so many different things, is it sort of just season by season?
Episode by episode and season by season. I mean, we really try to treat everything like, if this was our last episode, what would it be? Like, we want to treat everything, we want to do the best version of everything. Like, if this was all we got to do, what are the cool things that we will be really upset that we never got to do? We look at every season like that.
And left to our own devices, which really means if Paramount we'll keep going into the TOS era, and we know how. That's the hope, but as Henry said, nothing is assured. So we come from a conservative place with great aspirations.
On that note, I really want to say congrats for making something so cool, and I'm so happy that it's on the air, and thank you for coming in our studio. Look for more interviews on Colliders soon.